Welcome back to Television as Furniture. Today we are joined by the artist behind such works as the award-winning Lucical the Musical and, of course, Romeo is Not the Only Fruit. Welcome to the channel, Lou Wall. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. So for Fringe this year, you are producing That One Time I Joined the Illuminati. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't start the interview by asking, are you actually a member of the Illuminati?
I think I'll leave the details of that to the show, but I will say I got fairly deep into the bowels of this conspiracy theory during my research.
So tell me about that research. What drew you to it?
Well, it kind of started in lockdown last year, the big one. I mean, that all lockdowns are big now, geez. The first intense lockdown, I was really bored, and it was when the anti-vax movement was kind of starting to slowly take off. And in the past, I've been interested in like kind of, you know, flat earthers and the conspiracy that Avril Lavigne is dead and she's been replaced kind of thing. And
I didn't. That Avril Lavigne's dead.
Yeah, apparently she's been replaced by a body double for the last 12 years, but that's another story. But I just was kind of like, you know, I was seeing some people come out as anti-vaxxers on Facebook, and I kind of like, I don't know, I just kind of wanted to get an understanding of how people fell into conspiracy theories. And the Illuminati is probably the dumbest one. Like, it's the one with the most memes, like has a huge internet presence. And I was like, I think I love like doing a challenge. So I was like, all right, let's just go. Let's see if the Illuminati exists. And if they do exist, if I can join them, and let's go for it. It started off as a trolling mission, I guess.
The Illuminati is definitely up there as being one of the dumb ones. I am probably I'm going to guess, I'm probably a little older than you. So I grew up in a time when conspiracy theories and that sort of thing was still a bit underground, a bit sort of fun to get into. So I read like The Illuminatus by Robert Anton Wilson and things like that.
Me too.
Oh yeah? What did you think of it?
Yeah. It was bewildering. And I think if I had slightly less education and more doubts of the government, I might fall down that track.
Yeah. It's a dense read, and it's obviously intended as a kind of, well, it's certainly proposes itself as a satire from the sort of late 60s. And that was a time when, JFK and all of that stuff was still very much in the consciousness. And when I got into those kind of things, you know, X-Files was just starting, and it was kind of this kind of outre sort of thing to get into. But I've been watching, likewise, like you in the last couple of lockdowns, I've been watching the growth of QAnon happening over, predominantly in America and then here. Have you touched on that sort of stuff as well?
I was following Q for a while, but QAnon scared me too much in the essence that like you're talking to really extreme people, and I just didn't feel comfortable talking to those people, because I was like, oh, if I make a wrong move and then they go and decide to do something, like I never wanted to cause someone to fall deeper into Q. And I think Q is really dangerous and has a lot of like ties to neo-Nazism. And of course, like people like the Illuminati kind of does as well, but it's a lot more meme focused and a lot less action based, I guess. So yeah, I kind of sit back and watch Q now, because I think its level of like interaction and its ability to like hook people in and radicalize them is really terrifying.
Yeah, it's been incredible to watch actually how it takes so much of already pre-existing conspiracies as well. It's that kind of syncretic thing where it can have whatever you believe, it can get sucked into. So it incorporates all that Illuminati stuff with all the adrenochrome nonsense, and a lot of it, I'm going to get heavy for a second. A lot of this, including the Illuminati, goes back to the protocols of the Elders of Zion, right? And so there's a really strong strain of anti-Semitism in it as well. Did you encounter a lot of that in your research?
I really thought I'd encounter more anti-Semitism, but I think, like, obviously in like looking at the history of the Illuminati, and like it comes from like Bulgaria and all that kind of stuff, it kind of started as quite a liberal movement, and in the same way that Enlightenment did. So I was aware that it had all these ties to anti-Semitism, but actually I didn't come across it at all. I think a lot of anti-Semitism is related to the lizard people conspiracy theory.
Oh yeah, Robert
I think most people who think they're in the Illuminati now are just like, just not to be like rude, but they're just like on a complete another planet. Whereas I think some people who are like in the lizard theory and like QAnon kind of have more ties to, you know, like homophobic and racist and anti-Semitic kind of views that, you know, course along with this population. But the people who I interacted with in the Illuminati, who think they're in the Illuminati, were generally just like elderly white women just chilling in Russia and or America.
That's amazing. That is probably shows a prejudice on my part, because I would not have guessed that would have been the main people, especially who thought they were in the Illuminati.
Totally, me neither.
Yeah, right. You imagine kind of nerdy white guys or big beefed up gun-toting white guys, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess the thing that's baffling about it is that that I guess the Illuminati that I grew up with, not that I grew up with the Illuminati, of course, but or that's what I would have you believe. But the legends of that and stuff are about the shadowy cabal that controls the world, and that you're the one that has a sort of secret knowledge that they exist, but you could never get to be a part of it. It's fascinating that these people think they've found their way in.
Yeah, that's the kind of hypocrisy of it, is that, you know, the whole time I was trying to join them, I was pretty much like, first, do they exist? And there's definitely like two kind of belief systems in the Illuminati. And one is that, you know, George Bush and kind of a lot of like presidential figures are part of it, and it's run by literally the people who run this world anyway. And then another part of it is like kind of a growth out of the Freemasons, who, you know, accept people, your everyday average Joes, into their ranks. So yeah, I obviously went for that one because didn't quite have the connections to get to the other one, but yeah.
Yeah, right. So so you did research into Freemasonry as well?
Yeah, I did. I actually tried to join a lot of Freemason groups in Victoria. A lot of them are still, you can only join if you're a cis man.
Yeah.
I went to one in drag, actually. I didn't make it very far.
Amazing. Do you talk about that in the show? Because otherwise I'm aghast at you about that.
A little bit in the show. But it was kind of, going down the Freemasons route was kind of a dead end. They're a very strict kind of organization. But there are a lot of like women's based Freemason groups now, which I was like, no, hell yeah. Yeah,
right. That's good. That's good as a qualifier. I don't know how to go from there. So I was going to say, so a lot of this stuff can get kind of dark and can get kind of weird. How do you turn it into a comedy show?
I don't know. I think anything that's like dark and has people who are this devout is baseline satire. I'm like, it just takes the smallest edge to make it satirical. I was very, like, some of the conversations I have, a lot of the conversations I have are with scammers and with people who are kind of just like using the Illuminati myth to get money out of me. So obviously they're already pretty funny. Scammers work in mysterious ways. But yeah, the whole time it was just funny because it was just dumb.
Sure.
I don't know how to explain it.
Oh, well, I'm sure it will come across in the show. your last show for a comedy festival, the musical, was largely online. I think I'm right. There wasn't a live performance of it because it was still kind of in lockdown. Am I right? Or
Yeah, that was actually for Melbourne Fringe last year.
Oh, okay.
It was for Comedy Festival 2020, which got cancelled, and then I did it for Melbourne Fringe last year, and so it was completely online.
Yeah, right. And is the case for the Illuminati show as well, or were you planning to do that as a live show?
It actually has already been a live show, so I presented it at Comedy Festival this year, which was so much fun as a kind of deranged PowerPoint presentation. But I think in doing the live show, I was always like, this is a documentary at heart. Like, it's an ethically ambiguous investigative journalism documentary. And so I've just completely reimagined it for Fringe. And I feel really lucky that I've been given like the chances, you know, Fringe has been able to accommodate digital stuff again. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, this is really cool. It's exciting to adapt this work, I guess.
Yeah. And how has the process of that been, changing or taking a work that was originally live work and adapting it for the digital space? How's that been?
It's like my favorite thing to do ever. Like I adore video editing, which I only found out last year when I made Lusical. But all of my stuff with the Illuminati I filmed anyway because it was all online. So anytime I was in like a Zoom or anytime I was like chatting to someone, I have all my conversations recorded, you know, everything is accounted for. So this has just kind of been this like fun little going back over my archives, getting stuff together, and then also bringing in this super like queer camp aspect that I didn't really get to explore in the stage show that I can explore online in terms of like aesthetic and just like really zhuzhing it up. I've got like a green screen, which is just a green bed. It's a green bed sheet that I've been like using and just really playing with it and having heaps of fun.
Yeah, terrific. So if we come to the show, or rather come to the stream of the show, is there anything that we need to know beforehand? Do we need to know secret handshakes, signs, symbols, that sort of thing?
You need to know absolutely nothing. If you're in the Illuminati, I guess you can come to, you know, hit me up, leave a reply, comment, post, like, subscribe. Come with whatever knowledge you have and everything will be explained.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm sure if the Illuminati are coming, they're already across all of those things anyway.
True.
Yeah. Lou Wall, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a delight to talk with you. I'm really looking forward to seeing the show.
Thanks so much for having me. My pleasure.